Hey y'all, it's Megan from Made for Mermaids, and we are sewing up an Audrey pattern today. The first step is going to be to put the two back pieces right sides together, and we're going to sew them together along that center back to create the seam. And you are going to be using a 1/2 inch seam allowance here. Next, you're going to put your front and back pieces right sides together, and you're going to align them at the shoulders, and you're going to sew them together along each shoulder seam with a 1/2 inch seam allowance, and then you can press that seam toward the back piece. You can set those main dress or top pieces aside, and we are going to sew together whichever neckband you're choosing. I'm doing the full turtleneck version here, but no matter what, you're just going to fold it in half with the right sides together and stitch it together with a 1/2 inch seam allowance. And then you will fold it in half again, aligning that seam and the raw edges. And I'm going to go ahead and quarter my turtleneck piece or whatever neckband piece you're using, and then also quarter your neckline. Once you have those quartered, you're going to place them right sides together, aligning the back seam with the back seam of the turtleneck or neckband piece, and then go ahead and match those quarter points, and you will stitch your neckband or turtleneck to the neckline with a 1/2 inch seam allowance. If you're doing the V-neck, I have a video on how to do it, and I will link that one down below. Next, we're going to be working on our sleeve. So with the right sides together, you're going to match your back notches to the back piece, the center shoulder notch to the shoulder seam, and then the front notch to the front piece. If you're doing the youth version, then you only have that top shoulder notch, and you would just match each ends and gently ease the sleeve into place. And then you will stitch the sleeve to the bodice with a 1/2 inch seam allowance, and go ahead and repeat that on the other sleeve. Next, we're going to put the front and back right sides together, and we are going to sew the side seams. I am doing the side slits on this midi version, and I do like to use my sewing machine just to stitch the very bottom where the side slit is going to be just an inch or so up. I'll use my sewing machine, and then I'll go back and use my serger to finish off that seam. Once you have the side seam sewn, if you're doing the side slit, then I do like to just make that little cut a 1/2 inch deep, and then you're going to press the unsewn edge all the way down from where you have sewed to the bottom hem. Press the edge a 1/2 inch toward the wrong side, and you're going to do this on both sides of the front and back piece. And then you're going to go ahead and edge stitch a 1/2 inch away to create that side slit. And you can do this on one side, or I'm doing it on both sides. Next, we're going to finish off our bishop sleeve. So I am running 2 rows of gathering stitches at the hem edge of each sleeve, and then you are going to take your cuff piece. I'm doing the long cuff piece in this video, but either one, you're going to fold it in half, right sides together, and then stitch it together to form a loop. And then you're going to fold that cuff wrong sides together on itself and align those raw edges. Then you are going to take your cuff piece, and that center notch on your cuff, you will match to the center of the sleeve. You're going to put the sleeve and the cuff right sides together, So I align the seam and then align the center notch to the center of the sleeve. And then I'm going to begin to pull the basting stitches so that the sleeve edge matches the width of the cuff. And once I have the sleeve matched to the cuff, then I am going to stitch them together with a 1/4 inch seam allowance and then give that seam a nice press and go ahead and remove any gathering stitches that you still have. And then you're going to do the same thing to the other side with the other sleeve. The final step is going to be to hem the bottom of your dress. So you're just going to press it a 1/2 of an inch toward the wrong side on the front and the back, and then edge stitch the hem in place. And you are going to hem your sleeves if you did the fitted sleeve option. And that is it. Your Audrey dress is complete. As always, if you have any questions, please leave them down below and I will try to answer them. If you make an Audrey pattern, as always, we would love to see them posted in our Facebook group, on Instagram at Made for Mermaids. Use the hashtag Audrey pattern, hashtag Made for Mermaids patterns.